Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I'm excited to have you here. Today, we're going to explore the topic of counseling. Our focus will be on understanding what counseling is, its importance, and how it can benefit individuals and communities. We'll also touch on key concepts and practical insights. So, let's get started and discover more about this vital subject together. As a counselor, I see my role as being a protector for my clients. That means always acting in their best interest and keeping their well-being at the forefront of everything I do. It's important to remember that my role isn't about authority, but about supporting and guiding. I serve as a reminder of the principles of Dean, helping clients stay connected to their values and beliefs. I also view my relationship with clients as more peer-like or friendly rather than strictly authoritative. This approach helps build trust and openness, making it easier for clients to work on themselves. I rely on behavioral theories and an understanding of how humans respond in relationships to inform my approach. This knowledge allows me to support clients in making meaningful changes. Empowering individuals is a key part of my role. I want my clients to become independent from me, to develop their own strength and resilience. Ultimately, my goal is to help them grow into self-sufficient and confident individuals, capable of navigating life's challenges on their own. Let's talk about the therapy process. First, we start by understanding the problem. What exactly is the issue we're addressing? It's important to recognize the root causes and the context behind the challenges. Then, we look at how the process can support behavioral change, making it a gradual and manageable journey. I'll guide you on how to actively engage in this process, encouraging you to increase self-awareness, paying attention to your triggers and what sets off certain reactions. It's crucial to reflect on what causes us to get upset and think about the reasons behind those feelings. As we work through these emotions, we facilitate change by connecting it to our Muslim identity, reminding ourselves of our values and beliefs. Addressing our religion openly, acknowledging sins rather than ignoring them, is a vital part of this process. It's about knowing our weaknesses, confronting them honestly, and working to fight against them. Seeking knowledge is also key. Learning more about our faith helps us get closer to Allah Swah. We have to remember that sins and arrogance can act as barriers to our personal development, so overcoming these obstacles is essential for growth. This entire process is about continuous effort, self-awareness, and striving to improve ourselves in alignment with our faith. So the first step in the process is to carry out an initial assessment. This helps us understand the client's situation from the very beginning. Next, we need to gain background knowledge. This means learning about the context and history that might influence the current situation. It's important to learn the facts of the situation clearly and objectively, so we can base our approach on accurate information. We also need to explain the limitations of confidentiality to the client up front. This way, they understand what can and cannot be kept private, especially if there are legal or safety concerns involved. After gathering all this information, we develop a report on the client. This report summarizes what we've learned and helps guide the next steps. Then, we brief the client about our process. It's essential they know what to expect and how we will be working together. Lastly, it's important to note that feelings communicated by the client are often linked to their thoughts. Recognizing this connection helps us understand their emotional experience more deeply and provides a more holistic approach to support. All of these steps are part of building a solid foundation for effective and ethical engagement. Let's start by discussing the intake process. When I meet with someone, I usually begin by asking about their marital status. This can give us helpful context about their support systems and personal life. Next, I explore their medical background, including any past or current health issues, as these can influence their mental and emotional well-being. It's also important to understand their alcohol or drug use, as substance use can significantly impact mental health and behavior. I then inquire about their appetite, whether they're experiencing a lack of eating or perhaps overeating due to emotional issues. These changes can be telltale signs of underlying struggles. Moving on, I look into their social history. For instance, whether they come from a broken family or have experienced sibling rivalry. These situations can shape their social and emotional development. I also ask about their current social support network. Do they have friends, family, or community connections they can rely on? Mental health issues can be rooted in genetics or shaped by environmental factors, so I try to get a sense of any family history of mental health concerns. Throughout this process, I emphasize making the person feel comfortable, building rapport, because establishing trust is key to understanding their true situation. I also consider religious dynamics, as faith can be a source of strength and guidance for many. At the end of the assessment, I always provide feedback, explaining what I have understood about their situation, and I encourage open dialogue. Finally, I aim to leave them with something positive, something rooted in their faith that can offer hope and reassurance. For example, reminding them of the patience and resilience encouraged in the Quran and Hadith, which can be very comforting during difficult times. Let's start by emphasizing the importance of showing understanding. It's crucial to demonstrate that you genuinely comprehend their situation and concerns. This builds trust right from the beginning. Next, make sure to communicate your process clearly. Let them know how you plan to work with them and what steps you'll take. This transparency helps create positivity and reassurance, making them feel more comfortable with the journey ahead. Being attentive during conversations is vital. Remember, you don't need to take excessive notes or appear distracted. Maintain eye contact and stay engaged. Involving the family is also key. Their input can offer valuable perspectives and foster a collaborative atmosphere. It's important to have an understanding of the deen and to make that known. This will be a central part of your approach and should be reflected in your process. When asking questions, opt for open-ended ones. This encourages dialogue and allows them to express themselves more fully. Avoid coming across as too authoritative. Instead, adopt a more suggestive tone, guiding rather than dictating. Use wisdom in your responses, especially when navigating sensitive topics. Confrontation should be used sparingly and thoughtfully, only as a tool when necessary, and always handled with care to avoid arguments. Overall, your goal is to establish a respectful, understanding, and collaborative environment. By doing so, you foster trust and create a foundation for positive progress throughout the process. Let's now talk about the importance of ethics in our practice. First, be humble. It's essential to approach these situations with humility, recognizing that we are all learners and that we don't have all the answers. When in doubt, always refer to the scholars and ulama for guidance. Their knowledge and experience are invaluable, and consulting them helps us stay within ethical boundaries. Don't be afraid to admit when you don't know something. It's better to acknowledge it openly rather than giving incorrect or incomplete advice. This honesty builds trust and shows integrity. When offering counseling, consider maintaining the hijab and allowing the presence of a mahram if possible. This not only respects the client's modesty, but also aligns with ethical and cultural standards. If in-person sessions aren't feasible, accepting a phone session is a good alternative. It's also important to leave the door open, meaning always create a safe environment where clients feel comfortable, and ensure others involved are in the same environment to maintain confidentiality and trust. Overall, these ethical considerations are vital because they help us uphold the dignity and trust of those we serve, while also aligning with our overall goal of providing respectful, professional, and compassionate support. Let's explore the theory of positive mental health and how it relates to our spiritual well-being. One key aspect is aspiring towards spiritual nourishment, which means seeking a deeper connection with Allah Swah and enriching our faith. Feeling safe in entering paradise is also fundamental, as it gives us hope and motivation to live righteously. Our love for Allah Swah and His Prophet Piba plays a central role in maintaining positive mental health. We can learn from the Prophet's life, using him as an example, and adopting his behaviors helps us align ourselves with the ideal. By studying his life, we gain valuable lessons on how to live purposefully and ethically. Fitra, or our natural inclination, is to do good and worship Allah Swah. It's important to strive to get closer to what is natural, our innate tendency, and to build a genuine connection with Allah Swah. However, we also face internal and external challenges. Nafs, or our desires, can sometimes lead us astray, and Shaitan constantly tries to tempt us away from the straight path. Additionally, family and life's difficulties can create obstacles on our journey. To maintain positive mental health, we should apply what the Quran teaches us and emulate the lifestyle of the Prophet Piba. This holistic approach helps us nurture our spirituality, strengthen our character, and stay resilient amid life's challenges. When we talk about belief and lifestyle, it's important to understand that having a belief in Islam alone isn't enough if our daily actions and habits don't align with that belief. Change truly happens when our lifestyle reflects our faith. One major obstacle to this is the nafs, or desire, which can often hold us back from making those necessary changes. Our inner desires sometimes push us towards comfort or worldly pleasures, making it harder to implement the changes we know we should. Another key point is the influence of Shaitan. His whispers and temptations can be very strong, steering us away from the path of righteousness and making it more difficult to stay committed. Along with that, a lack of knowledge can be a significant barrier. If we don't understand the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah properly, or how to apply them in our lives, it becomes challenging to live according to Islamic principles. Additionally, many of us are unaware of the different types of the soul, which can affect how we work on our spiritual development. Without this understanding, it's harder to nurture and cleanse our souls effectively. All of these factors, desires, Shaitan's influence, lack of knowledge, and unawareness, can prevent us from truly transforming our lives to reflect our faith. Remember, this is part of the overall journey towards self-improvement in Islam, and recognizing these barriers is the first step to overcoming them. What is illness, or what we might call psychopathology, really? It's often understood as a distance from God, a disconnect that affects our spiritual well-being. But interestingly, a distance from the Quran and Sunnah itself is a sickness in its own right, a spiritual sickness that can manifest in many ways. Poor manners, for example, are signs of this spiritual illness, because they reflect a disconnect from our moral and spiritual roots. To combat this, we need to work on our nafs, our inner self, because it's often the nafs that prevents us from overcoming these spiritual illnesses. Furthermore, poor development might stem from schemas, that is, incorrect thoughts or beliefs we hold about ourselves and the world. These false beliefs can hinder our growth and spiritual progress. But one effective way to address this is through positive labeling and reinforcement of religion, reminding ourselves of the beauty and truth in our faith. Now, here's a crucial point. All of us are sick to some degree. Those who believe they are perfectly healthy and are certain they will enter paradise might actually be displaying arrogance. It's important to remember that it's only through Allah's mercy that anyone enters Jannah. So, in essence, we are all sick in some way. It's just that some are more severely affected than others. Our iman fluctuates. Sometimes we feel closer to Allah, sometimes further away, and this fluctuation is natural. That's why we should always keep our guard up, stay humble, and never become complacent. We must always be conscious of our spiritual state, on our toes, aware of the ongoing need for self-improvement. Let's talk about society and the importance of being connected to our family and extended family. Having strong ties with those around us provides support, and it's important that this support is positive, helpful, encouraging, and uplifting. Good company and genuine friendships play a big role in our well-being. Surrounding ourselves with positive influences can make a real difference. It's also vital to think beyond ourselves. Consider others and the wider community we are part of. Connecting with your community helps build a sense of belonging and mutual support. Along with that, accepting authority that is righteous, meaning authority based on fairness and righteousness, helps maintain order and harmony. And when someone who knows better offers advice, it's wise to listen. Taking advice from those with experience or wisdom can guide us in the right direction. All of these points tie back to the bigger picture of building a strong, supportive society, one that nurtures individuals and promotes collective well-being. let's talk about humility and the importance of suppressing the ego. When we engage in sajud, or prostration, we are symbolically and spiritually bringing ourselves closer to Allah. This act of humbling ourselves in front of Him helps us recognize our limitations and our need for His guidance. Now, an interesting paradox is that true elevation actually comes through putting ourselves low. By lowering our ego and arrogance, we elevate our spiritual state. This process involves consistently getting rid of the ego that often clouds our judgment and self-perception. Another crucial aspect is developing a lack of attachment to the worldly things. When we detach from material possessions and superficial pursuits, we free ourselves to focus on our spiritual growth. All of these points tie back to the central theme of the presentation: how humility and self-awareness are essential in our journey towards Allah. Remember, true elevation is achieved not through arrogance or pride, but through humility and a sincere effort to purify our hearts. The Prophet Piba was truly a master psychologist. He understood human nature deeply and knew exactly how to approach different individuals. He gave people tailored advice that suited their unique circumstances, which made his guidance incredibly effective. Not only that, but he also shared specific du'as, or supplications, to help people find comfort and strength in their faith. By looking closely at the life of the Prophet Piba, we can learn a lot about behavioral change. His actions, patience, and compassion serve as a perfect model for us to follow. Taking him as a role model means we can emulate his qualities in our own lives, especially in how we deal with others and ourselves. Additionally, the Adkar method has proven to be very helpful in assisting those experiencing seizures. It shows how practical, faith-based approaches can support real health challenges. Overall, this reinforces the idea that integrating spiritual practices into our daily routines can have powerful, positive effects. When working with Muslim clients, it's essential to use assessments that are tailored to their religious and cultural needs. This helps create a respectful and supportive environment. You'll often find that clients can become frustrated during sessions or even go off on tangents. That's where providing structure becomes really important. It helps keep the session focused and ensures we're addressing the most pressing issues. One effective way to do this is to ask clients to list their problems and then rate each one from 1 to 10. This simple step allows us to identify what's most urgent for them and prioritize accordingly. By tackling the highest priority problem first, we make the most efficient use of our time together and help clients feel heard and understood. Remember, the goal is to be culturally sensitive and structured, which ultimately supports better outcomes for our clients. Today, I want to talk about resistance and how it plays a role in personal growth and change. Resistance often shows up as not accepting responsibility for our actions or circumstances. When we're resistant, we might be unaware of our true feelings or inauthentic in how we deal with ourselves, which can hinder progress. It's important to remember that we always have the potential to make a choice, whether to act or not. Nothing is automatic. Change requires effort and intention. We have a significant role in shaping our circumstances by choosing different alternatives. Accepting responsibility for directing our own lives is a crucial step. When people see demands as beyond their capacity, it's common to feel anxious. That's where Islamic coping mechanisms can be especially helpful. They provide spiritual and practical tools to manage stress and maintain resilience. Part of our role is to help clients become more tolerant towards the unavoidable aspects of life. We should also be mindful not to let sessions turn into endless complaining. Instead, it's more productive to offer suggestions for change, empowering clients to take action. Ultimately, understanding resistance and guiding clients through it is about helping them realize their power to choose and change, even in challenging circumstances. When working with clients, it's essential to really listen to them fully before jumping to any conclusions or making up your mind. Active listening means paying close attention to everything they say, ensuring you don't miss any important details. It's about creating space for them to express themselves without rushing in with your own opinions. Remember, as a counselor, your role isn't to categorize or label people. Instead, focus on understanding their unique perspective. Providing empathy is key. Show that you genuinely relate to their feelings and experiences. This helps create a safe platform where they feel comfortable opening up more. It's important to clarify that you're not responsible for solving their problems. That's their job. Your role is to facilitate understanding and support, not to fix everything for them. By understanding from an empathetic stance, you can connect more deeply, which encourages clients to share more openly. Offering reflections, rephrasing or summarizing what they've shared, helps them feel heard and understood. Overall, this approach helps build trust and paves the way for meaningful progress. When working with clients, it's crucial to be fully aware of their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors during sessions. This means paying close attention to what they're experiencing and expressing. Being genuine and authentic is key, honest about what they're sharing without adding judgment. Remember, your role is to be completely present and direct your focus entirely on the client, showing that you genuinely think about their well-being. It's also important to maintain a non-judgmental attitude, which can be conveyed through your facial expressions and body language. Active listening plays a big part here. Patience is essential, even if they take some time to explain their issues. If you encounter a situation where you don't fully understand or relate to the experience, it's okay to give a more general summary rather than forcing a specific interpretation. Even when you don't agree with a client's actions or beliefs, showing understanding and compassion is vital. This helps build trust and encourages openness. By embodying these principles, being honest, attentive, patient, and non-judgmental, you create a safe space for clients to explore and share their experiences. And always remember to reflect back a summary so they feel heard and understood, which reinforces their sense of validation. Change is constant and unavoidable. It's something we all have to face, and it's essential to recognize that clients are often experts at defining their goals. They know what they want to achieve. The key is to focus on identifying what the problem is right now, and more importantly, what the solution to that problem might be. Instead of dwelling on the problem itself, we want to shift the focus to the solution. This helps clients move forward rather than getting stuck in past issues. We also need to understand what's possible and how change can be achieved. Many habits clients have developed aren't working anymore, so part of our work is helping them build new, more effective habits. Some clients may change quickly, while others might need more time. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. People often turn to counseling because they've exhausted other solutions and strategies that didn't work. They come to us because they're seeking fresh, workable solutions that can really make a difference. What's important to realize is that the client or clients need to change the system they're working within, how they approach their problems, and not just the surface issues. Change requires a shift in mindset and approach, which is what makes coaching and counseling so powerful. Remember, change is always possible when we focus on solutions and on creating new, better habits and systems. Sometimes, clients may not clearly understand who they are or what they truly need. It's important to recognize that we can't always validate their behavior, especially if it goes against Sharia principles. Instead of validation, I encourage you to empathize with them, really listen and understand their feelings. Let's talk about the 3 types of clients we might encounter. First, there are visitors. These clients don't complain, they mainly seek reassurance. They don't need to change anything at this point, they just need to vent without being given any tasks or demands. Next, we have the complainants. These clients are more like distant observers or expectant clients. They need observational tasks that help them think differently, but they're not necessarily looking to change immediately. They just need someone to listen and hear their problems, helping them see things from a different perspective. Finally, there are true customers, those who seek counseling with the intention to change. They're willing to work on themselves and will be given tasks to help facilitate that change. When working with clients, it's essential to develop goals collaboratively. We want these goals to be realistic, small, and achievable, something they can accomplish step by step. It's important to frame goals as beginnings, not endings, to encourage progress. Goals should be concrete and specific to each client and their behaviors. Keep in mind, meaningful change requires hard work and commitment. So always aim for goals that are clear, actionable, and tailored to the individual's needs. Now, let's talk about some effective interviewing ideas to use during your sessions. First, ask clients about their past successes with making changes. This helps to build confidence and identify what has worked for them before. Inquire about any pre-session changes they may have already made. Sometimes clients have taken small steps on their own, and recognizing these can be very encouraging. It's also important to explore exceptions to the problem. Ask when the problem doesn't occur or under what circumstances it is less severe. This helps to uncover what's different during those times and can reveal valuable insights. Another key technique is using coping questions. These questions help clients recognize their strengths and resources, especially in difficult situations. They shift the focus from what's wrong to what's still working. Reframing is also a powerful tool. It involves helping clients see their challenges from a different perspective, which can open up new possibilities for change. All of these ideas, asking about successes, exploring exceptions, using coping questions, and reframing, are about gathering useful information and empowering clients to see their own capacity for change. They fit into the overall theme of building a supportive, strengths-based approach to change. All right, let's start with the first session. We'll kick things off with introductions so everyone gets to know each other a bit. Then, I'll walk you through the structure of the session and clarify our main goals for today's time together. I want to hear from you. How do you envision this session going? What are you hoping to get out of it? Next, we'll move into collecting complaints related to the problem at hand. It's important to understand what specific issues you're facing. After gathering these, we'll ask you to rank the complaints in order of importance so we can focus on what matters most to you. Finally, we'll look at times when these problems didn't occur. We'll explore any strategies you tried that worked or situations where everything went smoothly. This helps us identify potential solutions and best practices. Remember, this session is about collaboration and understanding your experiences, so feel free to share openly. All right, let's walk through the session structure. First, we start with the miracle question. We ask, what would be different if all your problems were solved? And then follow up by asking, what prevents you from achieving that? This helps clients envision their ideal outcome and explore the obstacles in their way. Next, we look at exceptions or pre-session changes, moments when the problem wasn't as severe or wasn't present at all. Identifying these gives us clues about what's working and how to build on those successes. Then, we move into goal setting. We clarify what the client really wants to achieve, making those goals specific and meaningful. After that, we use scales to assess the current situation. We ask clients to rate, on a scale of 1 to 10, how they see their current situation, their willingness to change, and their confidence in making those changes. This helps us gauge their readiness and identify areas to focus on. We may also ask if there's anything else they want to share, or if they need a short break. Finally, we wrap up with some closing messages, reminding clients of their strengths, encouraging their progress, and reinforcing the next steps. This structure keeps the session focused, client-centered, and goal-oriented, all while fostering hope and motivation. So, what was different this week from last week? That's the first thing I like to ask to get a sense of any progress or changes. We'll focus more on solutions now, rather than problems, since those were covered in our first session. This allows us to shift the conversation towards what's working and how to build on those successes. We'll spend more time exploring exceptions, times when things went smoothly, even if nothing was particularly problematic. It's about recognizing those moments without dwelling on the problems themselves. We want to elicit responses that highlight positive circumstances and help clients see how they encountered good times, how they managed, and how those moments came about. It's important not to treat these positive experiences as just past events or mere memories. Instead, we should understand how they happened, what the client did, what the circumstances were, so they can replicate those situations in the future. We'll also compare how clients are scaling their progress now versus last week. This helps us monitor any significant changes and see if they're moving in the right direction. It's a way to keep track of tangible progress and keep motivation high. During the session, we'll include some therapeutic breaks, moments for reflection. This gives clients space to process what we've discussed and consider what tasks they might want to focus on for the upcoming week. At the end, I'll give a summary of what we've covered, highlighting strengths and achievements. And I'll share specific tasks or homework, things I want clients to work on before our next session. This keeps the momentum going and ensures they're actively engaged in their progress. When it comes to questioning, it's really important to be respectful in how we approach it. We want to avoid turning it into a simple checklist, where we just go through questions in a mechanical way. Instead, think of questioning as part of a genuine conversation. Asking questions should feel natural and supportive, not interrogative. Remember, questions are actually one of our main interventions. They're powerful tools to help clients explore their thoughts and feelings. Initially, you might have used questions just to gather basic information. But now, as the relationship develops, questions should become more helpful and insightful. Constructive questions are especially valuable because they generate new experiences and open up possibilities. They should be tailored to the client's strengths and capabilities, helping them see solutions that fit their unique situation. Let's look at some examples. A problem-focused question might be, how long have you been feeling depressed? It's direct and focuses on the problem itself. On the other hand, a solution-focused question might be, what would your life look like if you weren't feeling depressed? That shifts the focus toward possibilities and positive change. The key is to use questions intentionally, to support clients in discovering their own solutions, rather than just analyzing their problems. This approach aligns with our overall goal of empowering clients and fostering a collaborative, respectful dialogue. Now, let's take a closer look at the different types of questions that can be incredibly useful in our work. First up, we have goal-setting questions. These are designed to help clients clarify what they want to achieve, setting a clear direction for their journey. Next, we have miracle questions. These are powerful because they encourage clients to envision a future where their problems are solved, helping them discover their own solutions. Then there are exception questions, which focus on times when the problem isn't present or less intense. These questions help clients identify when things are working and how they can build on those moments. Moving on, we have coping questions. These are aimed at recognizing the strengths and resources clients already have, reinforcing their capacity to handle challenges. Finally, we have scaling questions. These are useful for measuring progress or confidence, asking clients to rate where they are on a scale. Altogether, these question types form a versatile toolkit that supports goal achievement and fosters positive change, aligning perfectly with our overall theme of empowering clients through strategic questioning. Let's talk about identifying your goals. First, ask yourself, what are your goals? It's important to be clear about what you want to achieve through therapy. Next, think about how you will continue to accomplish these goals over time. What strategies or habits will support your progress? Then, consider how you'll know when you've gotten what you wanted. What signs or outcomes will indicate success? It's helpful to imagine what will be different once you've reached your goals. Who will notice these changes? And what exactly will they notice? Remember, these questions are meant to guide you and your therapist in setting meaningful goals. They also help others around you develop their own understanding of your progress, so your goals don't always need to be spelled out explicitly. By having a clear picture of your goals, you'll be better equipped to stay motivated and recognize your achievements along the way. Let's take a moment to explore some coping questions that can really help us navigate challenges. First, how do you cope with these difficulties? Think about the strategies you use to manage tough times. What keeps you going even when things feel hard? Recognizing your sources of motivation can be a powerful reminder of your resilience. Next, consider how you handle day-to-day management of your situation. What routines or habits help you stay grounded and organized? Also, who is your greatest support? And what exactly do they do that helps you? Understanding the specific ways support works for you can strengthen those relationships. Now, even when a problem feels overwhelming at the moment, remember that you've managed to get here today. So, what was it that got you here? What inner strength or external help made it possible? And finally, problems sometimes worsen despite our efforts. What do you do to stop them from getting worse? Recognizing those actions can be key to maintaining control and continuing forward. Let's talk about scaling questions, which are a powerful tool for assessing progress and planning next steps. Imagine a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 means your experience or progress is at its worst, and 10 means you've achieved your goal completely. First, I want you to consider, where are you now on this scale? Be honest with yourself. Then, think about where you'd like to be, your ideal spot on that scale. Next, ask yourself, what will it take to move from where you are now to where you want to be? What actions, resources, or mindset shifts are necessary? And once you've made progress, how can you ensure you stay there? What habits or strategies will help you maintain your success? Now, a key part of this process is self-assessment. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 indicates you haven't achieved your goal at all, and 10 means you've fully accomplished it, where would you place yourself right now? Similarly, think about your experience or performance. On the same scale from worst to best, where would you rate yourself? These questions help you clarify your current position, set clear targets, and track your progress effectively. Remember, the goal is continuous improvement and staying aligned with your objectives. This approach keeps you focused, motivated, and aware of what it takes to reach that next level. Let's take a moment to reflect on some key questions that can help us understand our expectations and responses. First, I want you to think about the times when the problem or issue you're facing doesn't occur or perhaps happens less frequently. When does that happen? What are the circumstances? Next, consider when your partner actually listens to you. What are the moments or conditions that make that happen? It's important to recognize these positive interactions. Now, think about the days when you wake up feeling full of life. What is different about those days? What makes you feel energized and ready to face the day? Moving on, when are the times you manage to get everything done at work? What helps you stay on top of your tasks? Let's also consider the times when you feel closest to your goals or your ideal state. What's happening during those moments? And importantly, think about when you've been able to stop yourself from doing something negative, like nagging or shouting. What strategies or thoughts helped you control those impulses? Are there times when you've managed to control your anger or reduce nagging? If so, how did you achieve that? Understanding these moments can really help us build awareness and self-control. Finally, I want to touch on the role of thoughts. In cognitive behavioral therapy, writing, reading, and consciously burning or releasing thoughts are common practices. But in Islam, thoughts should be controlled, not just expressed or released. It's about managing our internal dialogue and intentions, aligning them with our spiritual and moral values. All of these questions are aimed at helping us recognize patterns, strengthen positive moments, and develop better control over our reactions, which ties back to our overall goal of personal growth and improved relationships. Let's talk about the positive theory and how it plays a crucial role in preventing helplessness. Instead of focusing on what goes wrong, this approach emphasizes taking a positive outlook. The key is providing early experiences of mastery, helping children succeed in ideas and tasks that might otherwise make them feel helpless. This builds their confidence and resilience over time. Positive psychology, which is at the heart of this approach, adopts a more optimistic perspective. It's interested in fostering positive emotions, happiness, life satisfaction, optimism, and hope. These are sources of energy and confidence that can propel people forward. It's important to note that positivity doesn't mean ignoring transgressions or challenges, especially in contexts like transgressing the Sharia. Instead, it's about supporting growth and understanding while maintaining respect for moral and spiritual boundaries. The overall goal of positive psychology is to support efforts to eliminate social problems like drug abuse, criminal behavior, and mental illness. It does this by cultivating positive emotions and traits, encouraging people to use their inner strengths to overcome weaknesses. However, we also recognize that factors like broken families, peer influences, and unemployment pose risks to maintaining a positive outlook. These challenges can hinder progress, but the message we want to leave you with is one of hope, not fear. By focusing on positive possibilities and inner strengths, we can foster resilience and a brighter future for individuals and communities alike. And that brings us to the end. Thank you all for your time and attention today. I hope you found this session valuable and that it inspires you to continue your learning journey. Remember, the key takeaway is that continuous development is essential for growth, both personally and professionally. Keep applying what you've learned, stay curious, and never stop evolving. Once again, thank you for being part of this experience. Have a great day.